In this particular case, there is a long history. We could look to 1988, when the Moriori claims were first formally filed, but I think Moriori would rightfully say, well, we need to go back to 1862, which was when Moriori representatives first wrote to Governor George Grey seeking release from enslavement and return of their lands. So it has been a long time getting here today, Madam Speaker, more than 158 years. And the redress which the Crown offers today, and which National stands in support of, is an apology. It does include cultural and commercial redress of lands, of money, but I think perhaps most importantly, it's an agreement of a corrected historical account of the history of the Moriori and the historic breaches that they have been subjugated to. And other speakers have mentioned the school journal history, which so wrongly articulated the history of the Moriori people. And I think for myself, it wasn't until I read Michael King's History of New Zealand that I saw just how wrong that myth that Moriori was somehow an inferior race of people that have been driven out of New Zealand and away onto the Chatham Islands, how wrong and harmful that story was. Because in fact, Moriori had lived in Rekuhu, the Chatham Islands, undisturbed for centuries, until Pākehā came in 1791, and it was in 1835 that they were displaced by Ngāti Mutanga, Ngāti Tama, who came not in peace, but in war, and who enslaved large numbers of Moriori and wiped out about a sixth of the population. And at that time, the Moriori stood strong in their culture, which was one of peace. They adhered to what they called Nunuku's law, and they didn't fight back. And while there is honour in that, obviously much damage was done. And in 1870, that wrong was compounded by the Native Land Court handing recognition of all of those lands away from the Moriori. So National supports this bill for the apologies it contains, for the correcting of the historic record, for the acknowledgement of Moriori as tangata whenua in the Chatham Islands, for redress for those grievances, and we finally acknowledge the efforts of all who've helped bring this agreement into being, and all those leaders who have fought for this moment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.